Taking concepts such as elements or flowers and turning them into character designs is a great way to come up with new characters and explore those concepts in more detail, and in this video I'll be doing exactly that. Hi, here's May. For this week's video I designed 4 OCs based on the 4 seasons. I've been wanting to design some new characters for some time, mostly draw fan art, but from time to time I like to design my own characters. It's a lot of fun to me and I really like this when it's paired with a prompt. Last year I designed characters based on the sun, moon and stars, for example, and for this year I'm basing them off the 4 seasons. Without much more talking, I'll start with the first one, with spring. Since this is the first one, I'll also explain how I designed these characters. I drew a full body pose as well as 2 head expressions. I added in 2 outfits for each one of them. For designing characters there are so many things you can look into and use to portray the character. As for references that you want to use, you also have many options. To show who the character is, you can make use of their poses, their expressions, their outfits, and technically also whole scenes you draw them into or lighting. For references you can be inspired by words, a backstory, as well as a lot of visual references. Often these are gathered on mood boards. For the characters here I wanted their full body pose to be rather basic since this was the first design for them, but still it should show some personality. It's similar for the heads and expressions. I wanted to use the poses, expressions and outfits to portray who the character is. As for references, I looked a bit into symbolism and what things and traits tend to be associated to different seasons, and I made mood boards using mainly Pinterest. Alright, let's talk about the spring character. Now for some themes associated to spring. Here we'd have rebirth, renewal, growth and hope. And for this character I thought they love nature, they like trying out new things, they can be encouraging and hopeful but also a bit naive. Here are some positive and negative personality traits that describe this character more. For positive ones we'd have empathetic, energetic, motivated, optimistic and curious. And for negative ones we'd have doesn't plan, sometimes doesn't know what they themselves want, since they want to go for what other people want, so they kind of depend on others to form an opinion. They take on too much work and can speak too much for some people. Then I also kind of sorted the elements, times of today as well as general times to them. Here for spring this would be water, morning time, and when it comes to past, present or future it would be future to me here. And finally we'd have some interests or hobbies they like to do. Here I'm mentioning gardening, fashion, so this would include looking at fashion, going shopping or designing outfits themselves, tennis and playing the guitar. A few visual symbols and things associated to spring which I use as inspiration when coming up with the outfits for this character would be bunnies, butterflies, and the rest are basically all flowers as well as just plants. The specific flowers I drew would include daffodil, tulip, cherry blossom and iris. Their Myers-Briggs personality type, or MBTI, would be ENFP. I went with slightly tanned skin, eyes that have a high upper outer corner and are rather wide open, making this character seem more soft and optimistic. They also have a turquoise eye color. For the hairstyle we have a more wavy one, including a few curls and a small ponytail. The hair also has a light brown color, which isn't too contrasting to the skin color. And in this case I wanted this to be like this to give the spring character a more soft look. I also added in a second hair color variation, since I could imagine these characters switching hair colors when going through their magical girl or boy transformations. For the spring character, this color would be pastel purple. They also wear a bit of pink eye makeup. Next for the outfit, for each one of the characters here, I'd first draw a slightly shaded basic body and then I added in 2 outfits. I wanted to start off with the space to be able to kind of dress the characters up. Technically, I could also add in more outfits this way. One of the outfits is more of a casual one, while for the second one I was thinking it's kind of like a magical girl or more like boy one and more formal. Kind of like the characters have this casual life but can transform into being a seasonal. For the spring characters outfits I went with a oversized t-shirt with buttons and a belt around the waist, as well as pants that flare out a bit for the first one. For the second one we'd have a short shirt with a jacket with translucent sleeves on top, as well as shorts and these long ballerina-like shoes wrapping around his legs. For both these outfits I made sure to include many flowers and plant patterns as well as a few bows and butterflies. Finally for colors we'd have pink and some blue ones. Let's move on to the summer character. First, for some themes associated to summer. For this I'm mentioning life, energy, joy and warmth. And this character loves being outside and experiencing new places. They're rather optimistic and funny, even if they're a bit quiet at first. I'd describe them as having more of a golden hour or sunset vibe and only being like the bright sun rarely. When they're with people they know really well. I would associate the fire element, the midday as daytime and present, and maybe a bit of future to summer overall. So with that you could also see this as if you'd ask this character, what's your favorite element, what time of the day do you like most, and do you think most about the past, present or future, these would be their answers. As for some personality traits for the summer character, for positive ones we'd have easygoing, cheerful, practical or good with their hands, and for some negative ones, makes friends slowly, focuses on details too much, and that they stay quiet when they're upset or don't agree with someone. Next are some interests or hobbies for this character. This would be hiking, fishing, camping and dancing, as well as playing the drums. Here are a few visual symbols and things associated to summer that were useful for me to look at when coming up with the outfits for this character. We'd have fruits such as peach, watermelon and blueberries, or vegetables like corn, cucumbers and tomatoes, as well as Leo, the star sign, the sun, the beach and barbecue. The summer character's MBTI type to me would be ISFP. For this one, I went with more tan skin, fitting to this character being outside often. Their eyes are also more open, representing their adventurous side, but also more downturned than for the spring character, which to me fits to them being more introverted. The eye color I went with here was pink. I also kind of wanted to make sure this character and all the other ones wouldn't be too close to the sun, moon and stars or any of my other OCs. For the hair color, I then chose a bright blonde, and as a second one, a more yellowish blonde. When you're out in the sun a lot, your hair can get brighter from it, so I thought this would work nicely here. It also contrasted with the darker skin tone. Then I also added some freckles, since these are often related to summer and appear more visible during the summer. The first outfit for the summer character is made up of some knee-length white pants, a t-shirt and a t-shirt jacket with some sneakers. Compared to the spring character, this looks more casual and not as elegant. Since this character would like to move around and be active a lot, I wanted the clothes to fit to this. On his t-shirt I also added in a beach logo, and I included various other summer themed elements here as well. The Guardian outfit has kind of a crop top and wider, maybe a bit Aladdin inspired pants. Here I also added in various sun and summer themed patterns and elements. Color wise, I wanted to use many different, mostly warm colors here, and included yellow, green as well as pink. For each one of the seasons I also looked at like 2 websites. For one described themes associated to them, and then I looked at another one that assigned personality traits to the seasons. Before I did this, I wrote down some personality traits and already imagined what the characters would be like, and I was kind of surprised when I discovered that the traits I came up with were really close to the ones described there. After summer, we're moving on to autumn. Themes associated to autumn would be harvest, change, transformation, balance and transition. To me, this character likes to mostly rely on already working systems and not try too many new things. They're rather careful and a bit strict, a critical person that likes to know things are getting done. They're also usually prepared for anything and a good leader. Next, for some positive personality traits, they're confident, disciplined, organized, a quick decision maker and easily gets the job done. And for negative personality traits, we'd have they're stubborn, easily hurts the feelings of other people, disagreeable and easily irritated. For autumn, the element I'd associate with this season would be earth. For the time of the day, the afternoon, and when it comes to past, present or future, it would be present and a bit of the past to me here. And finally, we have some interests or hobbies they like to do. Here I'm mentioning reading, acting, golf and singing, playing the guitar. Singing, playing the guitar, singing. Now for some visual symbols and things associated to autumn, which I was inspired by for the designs. Here we have acorns, pumpkins, leaves and apples. The autumn character's MBTI would be ESTJ. For this one, I chose to go with more light skin, upturned, more narrow eyes, fitting to their determined personality. The eyes have a golden color, then we have a dark brown as hair color with a more straight hairstyle that has 2 symmetrical hair strands at the front sides, which contrasts a lot with the skin tones. The autumn character's casual outfit is made up of a longer t-shirt with some buttons at the top, a shirt underneath as well as a knee-length coat on top. This coat has a pattern on the inside, something that I find makes any jacket or coat look more interesting. He wears tighter jeans and some boots as well. Since this character is very focused on work, I wanted his outfit to represent this as well. Also fitting to this, in the second outfit we'd have kind of a business suit with a tie, a formal suit jacket, some formal pants and flat formal shoes. At first I wanted to leave it at that, but then I decided to add in another suit jacket on top that would hang from his shoulders. Accessoire-wise, I wanted to go with a lot of gold and some autumn-inspired patterns and elements that looked more high class. Often these were inspired by leaves. Since autumn also is connected to time a lot, and this character seems like they would always make sure to be on time and effective with using the time they have, I made sure to add in some clocks and watches for accessoires here as well. For the colors, we'd have gold, brown and some green tones. In the second outfit I also included some orange and purple. The colors here are darker than for the 2 characters before and more on the warm side. Here I also mentioned some struggles I had when drawing the characters here. For one, I mentioned the hair. I realized that I'm not sure how I want to draw it. While I do know that I want it to look very flowy and fluffy, not too zigzaggy and sharp, and I have some references from artists that draw it similarly to how I'd like to draw it, but I haven't figured out a exact way to do this yet. As for hair shading, here I'm not even sure what look I like most and would enjoy drawing the most. I have a few things like separating the hair strands, adding more shading at the hair roots, the hair origin that I usually do, but still I want to experiment some more of this. Next are the eyes. Here I find it difficult to make the character look like they're actually looking in one direction. The positioning of the iris and pupil would be what I'm struggling with here. Other than that, I feel like the overall shape and 3Dness of the eyes I draw could be improved as well. The face shape and how big I want this to be in relation to the hair volume and even the face width is also something I'm experimenting with. Then we have drawing the different types of clothes. My references make this easier. I haven't spent as much time studying clothes as with the body, for example, so it makes sense that this can be difficult to me. I sometimes don't know how the folds look or shadow shapes would form, since I'm also not shading and portraying them realistically, similarly to the hair. I'm also figuring out how I would want to stylize the clothes. I also added in glasses. For each of these characters I wanted to include some kind of accessoire or more like a feature on the face, like the makeup, freckles, or here the glasses. Leave your guess for what I add for the winter character in the comments. And finally, we're moving on to the winter character. Some themes associated to winter would include death, introspection, afterlife, coolness, minimalism, stillness, and fragility. This character would love being inside. They're a quiet, introspective person that seems a bit cold at first, but is rather innocent. They just want to talk rarely, and they're pretty critical and reflective. Positive personality traits for this winter character would include truthful, sensitive, creative, perfectionist, analytical, reserved, and dependable, while negative ones would be pessimistic and too realistic, also perfectionist, self-centered, but also lacks confidence and keeps to themselves. Self-centered, lacks confidence. The element I'd associate to winter would be wind. For a time of the day we'd have evening, and for past, present, or future, the past. Some of the winter characters' hobbies and interests would include they like to draw, so they're an artist. They also are interested in astronomy, like to watch the night sky, doing yoga, and playing the piano. A few visual symbols and things associated to winter, which I partly used in the design, would be moon, snow, ice, icicles, and evergreens. To me, the winter character here would be an INTJ. For winter, we have a very light skin, fitting to this character mostly staying inside. The eyes here would be more narrow and downturned. I actually went with some pretty unique lashes here. Also, I wanted this character to seem like the oldest from all the ones I drew. Age-wise, I'd say summer is youngest, then either spring or autumn, and winter is oldest. How old do these characters look to you? Let me know in the comments. I find it interesting to hear how you perceive them based on how their faces and bodies look. The eye color for the winter character would be purple, and the hair color a light white or pastel blue. This doesn't contrast too much with the skin, and similarly to the spring character, gives the winter character here a more soft look. The hairstyle I went with was rather straight and sharp. We have a side part with some hair strands hanging in the face, a bit of longer hair in the back, as well as a small braid. And here you see what I added in as face decoration for the winter character, a tattoo below the eye. For the outfit, I went with many layers, including a sweater and big jacket, as well as some tighter pants that in this case went over the boots for the first one. For the second outfit, we'd have a skirt with some long leg cuffs and then a shirt with a big snowflake on top. There are also some cuffs on the arms and a longer scarf around his neck. I also added in a second longer skirt like cape on top. Accessoire wise, we have a lot of winter inspired patterns like snowflakes. I used a cooler color palette with some and purple included for the outfits, as well as a lot of white fitting to the winter theme. For this character, I also include the learnings from this project. For one, for colors, it's good to do a color thumbnail or value block-in beforehand to see how the outfits, especially when paired with the skin, hair and eye color, would work. I spent some unnecessary time experimenting here, which I could have saved if I had done this beforehand. While I also kind of randomly drew many accessoires and placed them afterwards, it could also be better to just draw them where you want them already, but it kind of takes some time to first figure this out, so I'm not sure which approach makes more sense, just drawing the elements and then placing them, or already knowing what elements you want to place where, because then you'd have to plan this out at first. Overall, I'd also say for projects, having references for the style I would like to try or go for would also make sense, not just for the outfit pieces or here the seasons and so on. Alright, and that's it for designing the 4 characters. Let me know your favorite season and character design in the comments, and if you have any name suggestions for these characters, you can also leave them there. Thanks a lot for watching, have a nice day, and bye.